Hello, everyone. This is Kim Toporowski, and this is my final reflection for OLTD 506, which is a class that was on social media. For my final reflection, I'm just going to walk you through a presentation that I created. And the theme I've chosen for this class is the mountain. The theme's name was Reach for the Top, and that's how I kind of felt. I felt that I was a naive little hiker at the bottom. And as I went through the course, I learned a lot about social media. So what I'm going to do is just click ahead on the slides, and we'll travel together from the bottom to the top. So here we are doing my final reflection, and we're off to the summit. So along with the theme of the mountain, I also put images of luggage. So at the very beginning of this course, and for my frame of reference, I felt like I didn't know where I was going and what I was doing. So my metaphor of the luggage was I would pack everything I could think of, and I would overpack, and I wasn't sure of what I would need, what tools would be valuable, and it was kind of a catch-all. I'll bring everything I have and hope for the best. This also ties in with my frame of reference. Currently, I'm a high school teacher teaching in a face-to-face classroom. I teach at a rather large high school out in Abbotsford. I mainly teach biology, and my goal towards moving into this program in the very beginning, a year ago, was to help integrate more technology into classroom, mainly to keep the classes more engaging for my students, but also to keep me up with current skills, and to find tools that would be beneficial to increase the communication between the classroom and the parents, between myself and my students, and also to have more engagement with web tools. So I was hoping that this is one of those classes where I find a useful tool to explore and investigate. So I was off from the beginning, and like I said, not sure of what to go and definitely over-prepared for the trip. As we traveled into the second week, this is the week where I found was the most valuable for me for the entire course. You can see my luggage has gone down to a few selected pieces. And the other image that I've included in here is a Wordle. The Wordle I made from taking my paper that we did this week and then inserting it into the program and creating that image. This week taught me a lot. Taught me about those main boundaries that are listed up there on privacy, professionalism, digital footprint, and the digital divide. For myself, I was really interested in the privacy aspect. I didn't realize the issues that could arise from using web tools. And especially social media tools such as Twitter or Pinterest. I didn't realize that where the server location was for the students' materials was going to be that important, and that the laws where the server is governs what's going to happen. I was also a little bit shocked because I'm not someone who uses a lot of social media myself, that the creators of such sites as Facebook and Twitter, their concern for an individual's privacy is fairly low. And a lot of those sites are then hosted outside of the States. So this is one of those times that, once again, I was thankful to be a Canadian and to have such strict privacy rules, such as FIPA, where we're not only concerned about an individual's privacy, but also their safety. So before using a tool, this is something I was very thankful to have learned. And it was something I definitely would investigate before trying to start a project with my students. So this aspect was great for this week. It was a little bit overwhelming, but I did enjoy it. Professionalism was another topic that we touched upon. We talked a lot about how teachers are held to a higher standard. At first, I was a little bit put off by that statement, but as time has passed and I've moved on in my career, I do realize that as a teacher, I do need to be cautious of what I'm doing, what I'm saying, and what I'm putting on the internet. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not really on social media sites. I have a very small Twitter account. I just recently signed up for Facebook, but I'm not putting a lot of information out there. And that ties into the second part, which is the digital footprint. I'm thankful that I've grown up in a time when that really wasn't a concern, that I was able to go through my adolescence, my teens, and my early adulthood without everything being tracked. Nowadays, I think it's quite scary for teenagers, and I don't think they really realize implication of them clicking all the time and the information that they're putting out there and how long it can last. So digital footprint is definitely something, once again, that while I was using a tool with a class, you want to make sure that they're not putting too much information out there so that the information can come back and be tracked to them. And that also ties into the privacy issues that we talked about before. And lastly, in this week, we talked about the digital divide. This was something that we talked about at the very beginning of the course in 501 when we had Mary. There are a couple of students that teach in this course out in areas where there's very little access. So that was the main focus at that time for me, was the digital divide was the lack of access because of students living in remote areas and the inability to have high-speed internet access that was either affordable or easily accessible. The other part of digital divide that we talked about often was financials, students not being able to gain access to devices because of socioeconomic status. And the interesting part from this course that we went through that I took from the readings was the fact that having a computer is not enough and having access. Students need to be using that tool efficiently, wisely, and towards some sort of goal that would be orientated to a further work product that employers would be looking for. So like I was saying in the beginning of the slide, this is the week that I got tons of information on the course. We went through lots of different bits and pieces, had an opportunity to write on everything, and then accumulate our thoughts in our major paper. From there, we then moved up the mountain and we're choosing a social media tool. So once again, my load is getting lighter. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with the course. And I chose a tool, Pinterest, which I had used just briefly in another class. I really enjoy this tool for myself. I used it to highlight what I did in another course as one of my final projects. And while I was doing it, I thought it would be a great tool to bring into my classroom, to have students work with, creating boards that they could share amongst themselves or use it as a research. But there are going to be some issues using Pinterest. For example, the server for Pinterest is located outside the United States. You need to be a minimum age of 13 to use it. And then also privacy issues when it came to creating a profile. So though Pinterest is going to be a very helpful tool and I enjoy using it, there are going to be some things that we're going to have to investigate before stepping blindly into putting students on the computer. So we should travel up the hill a little bit more. We started to create the consent letter. So from there, I took the issues that I just discussed about Pinterest and wrote a letter that would align also with the materials presented in my district. So we have guiding principles already in my class. They were called administration procedures. And I went through them to see which ones would apply to my tool of choice. For me, this is also a great part of this course. I did not realize that we had so many administrative procedures, and some things were great. We had great handheld device student expectations, but we didn't have great expectations for students that were just working in the library. So it was interesting to see what was out there, and then you combined all the little tiny pieces, the concerns we had about using a United States-based program, the issues of privacy, and I was able to write a letter to be used in a classroom to support the use of Pinterest. And as you can see, once again, my luggage load is now down to a single, tidy, neatly packed one piece of baggage. From there, we then realized that we were getting pretty close to the end of the class, and we're almost going to reach the mountain. At the very end of the top, our final project was putting all those pieces together. That then got submitted. And as you can see here, the person at the very top is luggage free, traveling with perhaps just a small backpack with just the necessities. So as I went through the course, I really did feel a little bit overwhelmed, mostly due to my own inexperience. But as we went through the weeks, I do feel quite confident now. And I am going to use Pinterest in my classroom and use the letter of consent prior to using that tool. I really did enjoy the class. And I would just like to say thank you to all my cohort members that we were able to share discussions with, and to you, Julia, for leading us through this class. It was a great experience. And overall, it was quite the journey. So thank you for sharing this with me, and I hope you enjoy the class as much as I did. Thank you.